3 years later, June 11th, 2026. My 40 male wife, 37, I assume he meant female, puts me in no-win scenarios. Not sure how to navigate these types of situations. I, 40 male, recently helped my parents pick up a trampoline for my nieces and nephews. It was going to be about 2 hours total, including driving, and my mom was going to make burritos for anybody who came. I brought it up a few days ahead of time, and while my wife, 37 female, was annoyed it was happening in the middle of the day, she accepted me helping, as we didn't have any other plans that day. As the time to leave approached, she started getting upset. She complained that she would be hungry because I was leaving right at lunchtime. I suggested various items in the house, but she turned them all down. I reminded her that she could just come with me and have a burrito as well. She said no, it'll be too awkward to go because she can't help move the trampoline. Twisted ankle. I asked her to please let me know what food she wants and I'll get it, or get ingredients from the store. She still didn't know what she wanted and told me to figure it out. Finally, she said she wanted a burrito. I suggested she have a snack and I'd bring back a burrito for her. I was told this is unacceptable because she didn't want to wait 2 hours to eat. Time now running short, I foolishly said she's being unreasonable and is an adult woman who can handle her own lunch situations if no options I suggested work. Now the waterworks are going. Fine. Whatever, I'll go buy ingredients and make a burrito. I grumpily head to the store to buy burrito ingredients. She immediately starts texting it, saying there's no need for me to do that and why am I making her feel so bad? I came back and cooked up a chicken burrito. Of course, she didn't want it. She felt too bad that I called her unreasonable. I practically begged her to eat it and put it next to her on the table. An hour later, texts start coming in saying she's getting a headache from hunger, implying it's my fault. She says I'm putting everybody's needs ahead of hers, being a knight in shining armor to the world, but not my partner. These 2 hours were the only time we spent apart the whole weekend. I arrived home with some leftover burrito 20 minutes later than originally expected. She was upset with me and ignored me the rest of the afternoon, aside from saying that I should have thought of going to Moe's and brought her a burrito rather than making her one, as if I was stupid for not thinking of that. In the morning, it was all sunshine and butterflies. Am I crazy? This seems so off for an adult, and it's repeated over and over in different situations. Not exclusive. Comments. Totally not arrow, but how are you living like this? This woman sounds tiresome beyond belief. Hope he responds. I'm not sure, honestly. She's sweet as can be when things are smooth, so I forget how frequent these bumps are. Therapy is helping me see how the pattern reappears much more than I was realizing and how it's chipping away at who I am. Totally not arrow, but responds further. I saw your comment where she's unwilling to do couples therapy because she doesn't want to look like the bad guy. But she has to understand that this can't keep happening. User Slow Impact 3892 comments further. She doesn't want to look like the bad guy because she is the bad guy and knows it. User Take a Break 128 comments further. You're married to a passive-aggressive asshole. Boundaries need to start happening. One of which is if she goes off, you're disengaging and leaving. I would be so burned out from this absolute nonsense. OP responds, I do put that into practice a decent amount. She says me leaving in the middle of an argument is manipulative and controlling behavior, and a sign of anger issues on my part. User Zanny, 54, comments, oh, okay, then what does she consider her rates you for hours at a time? Is that not also manipulative and controlling behavior and a sign of anger issues on her part? In her mind, probably not. In my mind, she's the problem, not you. In addition to being abusive to you, it sounds like she's gaslighting you pretty hard, and there's likely she has some sort of mental/personality disorder. Her refusal to entertain therapy or see a doctor indicates she's unwilling to take any responsibility or ownership of your disagreements. She likes it the way she has it, throwing tantrums and making you jump through arbitrary hoops to prove your love. This is unsustainable for you, exhausting and totally unfair. My advice to you is to disengage, walk away, and divorce her. Use your vegetable school 8337. What are you doing? LOL. Why are you making her a burrito? Opie responds, that's the part that struck me as the weirdest. She decided she needed a burrito, but wouldn't come to my parents, where burritos were being served, or wait until 2:30 when I got back with leftover burritos. I think she at one point suggested I go to my parents' house, grab her a burrito, drive it back to her, and then return to my parents' house to help move the trampoline. Felt like some weird power move. Update, 3 years later. A couple of years ago I posted about an interaction with my now ex-wife. I got quite a bit of feedback. Some of it was harsh, and a lot of it was on the nose. I made a few related posts and various subs, but this was the one that put me on the track towards changing my situation, so I figured I'd give an update. To all those that said she was insufferable and childish and to run, you were right. We tried therapy, which she thought was great at first, until a couple of months in when the counselor started to see through the facade she put up. Then the same thing happened with the next one. The abuse escalated as I tried to put a boundary, such as, if you keep swearing at me after I've asked you to stop, I will leave the house for an hour and not take any calls. I could see how if I stuck with those hard barriers for years, I might be able to carve out a more manageable life, but I decided it would not be one that I could possibly enjoy. So I left. Since that day, a giant weight was lifted. Yeah, I lived in a friend's spare room for a while at 40 years old. Then I lived in the studio apartment above my sister's garage for another year while going through the divorce process. But man, I feel bad for the guy if there's an alternate reality version of me still stuck in that mess. Instead, I have a wonderful life, a partner who's kind and caring, a new, better job, and we're even expecting a little girl. Too long didn't read. Reddit said my wife was ridiculous and I should leave her. I did, and life is great. Comments. Fitbed244. Damn, glad you made it out, and congrats on becoming a dad. Hope you respond. Thanks. Looking back, kind of wild that was happening. Use your poster bomber comments. The only thing you have to watch out for now is the abuse hangover. It's the part where after you leave and everything feels amazing, suddenly you'll start thinking about that one time when this happened. You'll be very angry. It's the why didn't I leave sooner and on and on. Otherwise, I'm proud of you and happy for myself, but not too hard since I did eventually regain my life. Use your observation comments. Dude, I went through almost the exact same thing as you, still dealing with the divorce process, which is hell, but a huge weight is lifted just by not being around my ex anymore. Happy for you. Hopefully other men in emotionally abusive relationships take the warning. Hope he responds, glad you managed to get out as well. I can still remember by the end my blood pressure going through the roof when I heard her get home from being out because I knew a battle could be coming at any moment. God, do I feel both of those comments near the end there, both from Poster Bomber as well as OP's final insert. In one of my previous relationships, there was a period of time where I was sleeping in a separate room from my ex, and I remember when I would hear them being awake and in the kitchen and getting ready, I would just lay there in bed for hours waiting for them to either leave the house or just be not in my presence when I would step out of that room because I didn't know what the day would bring. I didn't know if it would be a kind day or a bad day. I didn't know if there would be drama, fights, or just tension. It was stressful. And as I've mentioned in the past, that was one of the moments where I realized the rug was starting to get lumpy, but I just kept ignoring it. The proverbial rug where you sweep the red flags under and hope to God that they just stay under there, but my rug got lumpy, and I was refusing to acknowledge it. And when staying in the bed for hours at a time, not wanting to get out because I'm afraid of confrontation or having a bad day, that should have been one of the biggest signs that whatever situation I was in was not healthy, and I should have taken steps to alleviate myself from that situation. But I didn't. I felt that things were too enmeshed and escaping would just cause more headaches, so it would just be easier to just deal with it. In the moment, it's difficult to recognize what's going on. You water it down. You tell yourself it's not that bad, or you're the problem, or this is what you deserve. OP's ex-wife was the kind of person where, unless you're omniscient, there's no way for you to actually make them happy. They're always going to have something to complain about. They're always going to have some kind of comment to make about how you're not doing X, Y, and Z right, or how you should have done this, or now that you're actually listening to me, you're just doing this to make me feel bad, so now I'm not going to do the very thing that I asked you to do anymore. It's just fighting for the sake of fighting and for making you feel bad. We'll just add the final note is that it does kind of give me a bit of solace and a bit of relief knowing that by talking about and covering stories that have these kinds of tense situations in them, and by actually exploring the more nuances of them, and talking about the things that oftentimes don't get spoken about, it's allowed some of you to recognize some of the abusive situations that you've been in, or see that the relationship that you're in isn't healthy, and be able to walk away from it. It does require an ungodly amount of accountability and self-reflection on my part, and being willing to tear myself down so I can figure out how to put it back together, but it is nice to know that by me doing these stories here and talking about these situations, that I am actually helping some of you to get out of those just nasty situations in your life. And to those of you who are either in them or getting out of them or just got out of them, good luck and keep going forward, one step at a time. It doesn't matter if you get knocked down 7 times. What matters is that you get up. This post was collected by Choice Evidence, 1983, and the tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is left brain, right brain, but right with WRITE. Originally posted to r/n tipping, posted May 27th, 2026. Wedding bartender made a comment to me, the bride, about bar tips on my wedding night after we'd already paid a 20% service fee. We had a small wedding at an established wedding venue that we paid for food and beverage through. And a big philosophy for us when planning the ceremony was to make sure our staff were taken care of beforehand so that our guests were under no additional obligation since they were already traveling to spend time with us at the wedding. Well, we paid the venue with a service fee that was 20% of the venue in food costs, which I'd say were both rather expensive. It's a nice place, and this is what we were going for/excited about. But the service fee wasn't listed as a gratuity, but claimed to go directly to the staff, so we thought we were covered. Upon my arrival, we saw that the event manager, who was also partially tending the bar, had set up a sign with a QR code at the bar for tipping their personal Venmo. I thought this was tacky to begin with, but also genuinely thought that we'd taken care of it by prepaying the 20% service fee. Since I didn't want guests to feel any obligation, we asked for the Venmo sign to be taken down. Again, this was a nice place, and the DIY Venmo QR code looked out of place and really caught us off guard. Fast forward to the end of the evening. I was basking in the warm glow of my new marriage, and the Venmo guy cornered me as I was leaving to say, it was my understanding that we'd settle up at the end of the night. There are a lot of things to keep track of with wedding vendors and gratuities, so this caused me to panic that I'd hallucinated the 20% service charge, and we were stiffing them, and I delayed leaving to make sure that we remembered our payment/the contract right. It left an extremely sour taste in my spouse's mouths. Because regardless, why was he asking me that at that moment? Ask the wedding planner, or send an email afterward, or don't ask at all. Don't interrupt the person's wedding evening by expecting a gratuity over a 20% industry standard. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Worked a while as a banquet bartender a while back. You should reach to the company you hired. Given that it was a poorly made DIY sign, I'm sure it wasn't company official, and yes, they should not have asked for payment in that moment. OP responds, thank you for this insight. We will reach out. Commenter 2. It's entirely possible that the company pocketed the service fee altogether. When it's a mandatory fee, they're under no obligation to share it with the people who worked the event. My guess is that there's a good chance they were promised tips by the company. Opie responds, I believe that this should be between the employee and venue management, though, and not the employee and the wedding couple during the event. Commenter 3. A 20% service fee should already imply that service is covered. Being asked for even more gratuity afterward feels excessive and unprofessional. The Venmo sign and the direct request for additional tips makes it seem more like pressure than hospitality. What's frustrating is that so many caterers break costs into separate fees instead of just being upfront at the full price from the beginning. By the time they add service fees, gratuity, admin charges, and other extras, the final total ends up far higher than expected. Clear, all-inclusive pricing would make things much more transparent and avoid putting customers in awkward situations. Commenter 4. The sign also heavily implies the bride did not take care of the gratuity. So tacky, I would have been mortified. Opie responds, "This is part of why I was so uncomfortable with it. I'm never going to stop someone from handing a bartender some cash voluntarily, but the sign on display makes it feel like they're otherwise not getting taken care of and that the onus is on the guests." Precisely, and the sign being up made us feel like we'd missed something to begin with. But the additional comment was just beyond. Clear communication in any regard would have helped avoid the situation. There should be no room for surprise expectation on the day of the event when they had a year to communicate with us about it, especially when we are under the impression that we are doing the right thing / doing right by the contract. Commenter 5. Was this service fee not disclosed or known to the actual workers? OP responds, "This person should know about it since they help manage events." Commenter 6. Completely inappropriate. You did your due diligence to take all pressure off your guests and ensure staff was taken care of. You did the gold standard. My guess is the QR code was off books by the bartender. OP responds, "I'd say so too with the QR code being off books, which is making us feel double compelled to send the emails that their manager knows they did it." Commenter 7. Does settle up mean they are demanding a tip? I always interpreted settling a bill to simply mean paying what you owe, not pay a tip. OP responds, "We'd already paid for the venue contract and service fee in full, so I have no idea what else I'd owe, and if so, why not send a message separately or talk to our wedding planner? The only reason the Venmo guy would come to me specifically is because I'd ask for the Venmo sign to be taken down earlier in the night." Update, June 4th, 2026, over 1 week later. Hi everyone, original post hyperlinked here. Sorry, I'm not quite sure how to best update everyone since I first posted a week ago. I've had a delightful week on my honeymoon. Thank you for your congratulations, continued interest in this incident, thoughtful discussion, and patience in my delayed response. The wedding venue manager got back to us and confirmed that no additional gratuity was expected, and that the bartender / event manager who approached us, there seems to be a bit of confusion in some of the replies, this was not a separately contracted bartender. It was an employee of the venue. Was completely out of line in doing so. The email stated that we should never have been approached during the event. There will be an internal meeting with the team to ensure it does not happen again to another wedding couple. They were apologetic, said it was unprofessional, and must have been very uncomfortable. And we were thanked for our feedback. It's definitely worthwhile to say something. Even if it happened to us, I'd be really happy if it simply prevents a bride in the future from the discomfort I felt. Thanks for encouraging the email. I'm also really glad my husband and some other family members backed me up in not caving to the employee who was tip bullying me unnecessarily. Also, as an astute commenter has pointed out, even though this incident sucked and was really uncomfortable, it was the worst thing to happen at our wedding. We made out pretty well in the end. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Is service fee going to the staff, or is the staff being ripped off for their hard-earned tips? Their tact may be missing, but that is the million-dollar question here. Commenter 2. Was the staff being paid a tipped wage, or a regular wage is more important? OP responds, "Referring to the guy who approached me is an employee of the venue, not get tipped wages, and part of the service fee to him." But if you're happy with the resolution, I guess that's all that matters. I personally would have still included it in a review on them. Future couples deserve to be well prepared, and I'm not certain they won't just continue the behavior. OP responds, "We're fine with the response. Yes, the management really did not seem happy with it, and otherwise the event and our wedding was really awesome. Oh, and I included it in the review of the venue to make sure future couples are aware." Great call. Additional comments from OP after reading the responses. OP, hi, back again. It seems that many of you do not think we should be satisfied with just a verbal response and should request some compensation back. I'm taking this to heart and will be requesting the portion of the service charge that went to that employee back. We named and shamed him specifically so they know the one. I'm not comfortable with requesting the whole 20% back because there were a few other employees working the event who were spectacular and did nothing wrong, and otherwise services were rendered well. Ultimately, also, we worked with a member of management that emailed us back for the entire year leading up to our wedding. And I believe wholeheartedly that this person will make good on reprimanding the offending employee. I have also included a stern recounting of this experience in my review of the venue to give it visibility. Thanks again. Commenter 4. I consider what the situation might have been from the bartender's perspective. My guess is the venue told them absolutely nothing about their 20% service charge and were simply growing the pocket of the profit. The bartender was receiving their regular salary and was open to tips, which is not uncommon. When you let them know you were taking care of tips for the night, they thought that meant you would provide the tip. You've done nothing wrong, and I'm sorry that happened on your wedding day. Just pointing out the fault likely lies with the venue and not the bartender. It would help explain the series of events more clearly than a jerk bartender. Opie responds, this is a considerate and compassionate angle that I appreciate. I will add, this employee was part of event management and would have known about the service fee unless they were an incredibly uninformed and or incompetent manager. We said we were taking care of the tip because we thought we already had, and we told the person who was in charge for the night, the one who approached me. I think this concept may be confusing some people because of how small the venue and wedding were, under 40 people including us. This person was both tending bar and managing the event because of its small size. I can 100% understand why having the bartender have a hastily printed out QR code that goes their Venmo taped to their bartending station would be a bit embarrassing to have at your wedding. Because as it was pointed out by another commenter, this does make it appear that the bride and groom just decided to put the onus on supporting the staff onto the guests, and it wasn't covered beforehand. So much so to the point where now they have to hastily print out their own QR codes in order to receive fair compensation for the night. Now, for me personally, I despise tipping culture, but I'll participate in it because I'm in a position where I can afford a 25 to 30% gratuity tip where I feel it's actually valid and necessary. Because I've been in the position before where, that $20 tip can definitely change the entire night, and understand how much that can definitely just make or break your evening. Especially when you have back-to-back customers who just don't tip anything, and being paid less, so now what? So I do try to tip in a way that at least attempts to fill that gap that, some servers might be feeling. And it's only because YouTube puts me in the position that I can comfortably do that. I still hate tipping culture. I hate the fact that restaurants can justify paying their staff half of minimum wage because they know they can rely off of tips to cover the difference. And I just think that that's just gross. I will purposely go out of my way and actively seek out stores that don't rely off of tips and will reject tips. And yeah, their prices might be a bit higher, but at least I know the person behind the counter is always going to be paid a fair salary or not a common practice. Well, at least in America. Well, this is the outro, I suppose, with the nice guy post being whatever the fuck that was, followed up immediately by an actual instance of an abusive relationship. I recorded the no-win one first, completely unaware of what was awaiting me in the nice guy story. So just the complete perfect poetry of having a post where it is an abusive. What an incredible strain on my voice that was. Anyways, Gamer Subs, use code ICE at checkout. And be sure to use that when getting samples as well if you're not quite ready to commit to testing out one of the flavors quite yet. Their shirts are super cozy. They do have non-anime that feels good. You can do that without it having anime girls on it. That's not your cup of tea. Personally, I love them as pajamas and just around the house shirts. Really great, really cozy. I'm wearing one right now. Feels good. The shirt always feels cold, so it's that kind of fabric where it's cold and soft, which is my personal favorite. It's also super stretchy. The only downside is when I answer the door wearing these shirts. It's probably the only down part. So sometimes I'll just really flip the shirt around so it's facing backwards so I can disguise the fact that I'm not wearing something heathenistic. But yeah, code Oz at checkout. It directly supports the channel, and you guys have been absolutely awesome with how much you've been using code Oz recently. It has been incredible. So thank you for that. And also a massive thank you to everyone who supports the channel via memberships. You guys are also just incredible. And just all of you are. Even just those of you who support by just watching the video. Y'all are great. I'm very lucky to have you guys as an audience. Take care and enjoy this cut blooper. You care about refugees so much, right? You want to help immigrants? You like social justice and want to keep working at nonprofits.
Princess, why don't you understand? The lobbyist ain't good for you. Please, Princess, understand. He's abusive.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the podcast version of this episode. If you want to check out the video version, which includes the actual words on screen, as well as the ability to comment and interact with others in the community, then feel free to check out the YouTube channel Oz's Vault. There you can find the actual video versions of each upload. And with that being said, good morning, good evening, or good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Where do you think you're going, sir?
Alright, how's it going, everybody? It's your favorite Ecuadorian raincoat here. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm not doing too bad myself. Today, we're checking in with Darman. A year ago, he dropped this video that I somehow skipped over. I wanted to record a video on this one, but I guess I never got around to it. It's called AI Teachers Run the School by Darman Studios. I have one question. How did we even get here? Darman, if you're watching this video, how the fuck did we get here? What is this plot? This is a dystopian-ass plot. How did we get here? Genuinely asking. I guess there's only one way to figure out. Let's dive into Dar World. Sweet. Teachers will be replaced by AI robots? Oh, hell no. So clearly this Starman episode is taking place in a dystopian timeline. I hope to God we never have the day where AI is replacing teachers. And that goes for any job, honestly, not just teachers. The concept of AI replacing any job is stupid.
You need to focus on the assigned reading, not this fake news.
It's not fake.
How do you know?
This cousin.
Ah, shit. AI teacher here. Genuinely, what is this episode? This is some Black Mirror dystopian shit. It seems like that's the direction Darman's going for, at least. You know, I think if society ever got to the point where we're having AI teachers, that would be the day society collapses, I feel like. Imagine ChatGPT directing your fucking college class. I can't even lie, though. I gotta hand it to Darman. It's somewhat of a meaning. I feel like this is just kind of sci-fi slop. I mean, I understand that there's people out there that genuinely think AI is going to replace everything someday, and I understand where they're coming from. Is it that realistic though? I don't know. I don't think so personally. I feel like humanity will eventually win against AI. It's just I don't know. This seems like really unrealistic and kind of paranoid. And I hope I'm right about this being unrealistic, because I don't want to ever have to experience a reality like this. Being in a world with AI teachers sounds like literal hell. I like how later on in this episode, the AI teacher eventually tries to kill the guy coding it.
Let go of me!
I feel like this is the exact thing that would happen if we ever let AI teachers become a part of society. They would just eventually turn on us. Anyways, the coder kills the AI bot, supposedly. Then he uses a fire extinguisher on it, even though the AI bot isn't on fire. Oh shit, okay, so he just extinguished the AI teacher after shocking it to death. But it's actually still alive. Where is this person even experimenting? Is this in the high school? We got a brick wall. Where is this man? Is he in a top secret lab? Is he in the high school? I'm getting no info in the plot here. Anyways, we get back to the classroom, and this guy is making an AI edit of his teacher being the devil. Oh my god, guys, so funny. Hey man, look at the teacher. Oh my god. But then she takes his phone.
Hey, that's my property.
Anyways, we get back to the brick lab where the scientist or developer, coder, whatever, is telling one of his coworkers that the AI teachers are not ready. They're not ready to be deployed. They're not ready to be employed. And then his coworker responds with this.
We need to continue testing.
That's too bad. Contracts have been signed and we agreed to have them ready by today.
That voice acting, though. Today! Darman, if you ever need any voice actors, I got you, brother. Listen, I can put on a good voice of any kind.
I understand that, but the current model is not following proper protocol. I was forced to use my EMP.
I didn't hear myself asking for your excuses.
Correction to what I said earlier, this isn't the guy's coworker, I guess it's his boss. And the boss is telling this coder that he needs to send out these AI teachers to be mass deployed, even though just 5 minutes ago, the AI teacher tried to kill the guy. What is this plot? Why? This is an unhinged ass, paranoid ass plot.
So pack him up and send him out.
You know, if Darman started a dystopian sci-fi series, I think I'd react to it. Not even joking, this might be one of the most entertaining Darman plots, just because of how ridiculous it is. Anyways, the teacher gets mad about how the kid made that picture of her, and then proceeds to ask the class, is this what you guys think of me? And they all say, yes, that is what we think of you, which then makes the teacher really sad.
Worst teacher ever.
These PG-ass insults. I feel like I'm watching a Disney show right now. Anyways, the teacher eventually gets ran up on by a Karen, and this Karen is actually the mother of a student who's failing the teacher's class. The students eventually go back to Kev's house, and they find the AI teacher sitting in the basement, or wherever they're at.
Yo, Kev, what's under the blanket, man?
You know, just some experiment for my dad's tech job.
Why would you ever keep an AI teacher in your basement? Beats me. The kids eventually get to meet the AI to replace the real teacher with the AI teacher. What is this plot, bro? What kids would genuinely do this?
We hate our teachers so much to the point where we're going to replace her with a fucking bot.
This never happened.
So what if we ditch Mrs. Bryson and get ChatGPT's avatar for a teacher?
Bryson GPT's avatar for a teacher. Who is saying that? Who will ever, unless it's ironic, eventually the students conspire against the real teacher and they decide to steal the wheels off her car, find out where she lives, and they're doing all of this because they want to prevent the real teacher from getting to the school so they can have their AI teacher. Like, this was already starting off pretty ridiculous, just with the plot alone and the theme alone, but now it's just, this is a mess. After they get done flattening the teacher's tires, they decide to go into phase 2, which is finding out where she gets her cup of coffee and putting dirt in it.
Before I replace the coffee grounds with dirt for a cup of bliss.
By the way, all the teacher did in this episode was give them an extra day to complete an assignment and steal a phone for 5 seconds. That's all that happened. This plot just keeps getting more and more diabolical. The students just pretty much set their teacher up over and over again throughout the rest of this episode, to the point where she gets fired from her job and the AI teacher eventually replaces her position. But surprise, surprise, eventually the AI teacher turns on the kids. Who could have predicted? Then the AI teachers start to target the kids and chase them around the school. Eventually somebody throws an EMP grenade and it kills the AI teachers. I don't know why somebody just casually has an EMP grenade in high school, but whatever, it's Starman. Then the kids eventually go onto TV to apologize to their teacher and say, "We want you back, teacher. We hate the fucking AI teacher." And finally, the teacher comes back. We get the good ending. Holy shit. Yeah, that's the stuff that Darman's pumping out. Overall, I thought the plot of this was pretty absurd and unrealistic and dystopian and kind of paranoid, but I mean, I guess there was a good ending, so I can't complain that much. If you want a better sci-fi, dystopian type series to watch, just go watch Black Mirror. Anyways, let me know what you guys think of this video down below. I love hearing what you guys have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And yeah, with that all being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure y'all are staying safe, hydrated, and healthy, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
A group of entitled Karen customers literally tried to get me fired from my serving job at this upscale fine dining restaurant that I worked at, claiming that I was throwing food at them and that I had an attitude, all in some kind of weird attempt to try and get me fired. And I've honestly never felt more afraid and terrified that I was going to lose my job in my life. Here's how it all went down. Okay, I want to start off by saying that it's my 3rd day on the floor at my new job. It's an upscale restaurant that had us trained for 2 weeks, learn the menu, and pass a certification in order to even serve. After many nights of shadowing and studying, I pass and I'm getting my own sections. We're typically reserved only aside from the bar, which seats 35 people, unless it's empty on the off chance. Well, this group of 9 older people came in and I was given them. They said they only had an hour and 30 minutes, so I informed them that our kitchen is from scratch, so everything is made to order and it takes time. They say it's fine and I go ahead and I get their orders in. 2 people order the fried chicken, which is written on the menu as being worth the wait, because it takes about 20 minutes to cook it, and I tell them this and I suggest a chicken sandwich instead, but they wanted the plate. I put in their orders and after about 9 minutes, as my manager in Expo checked the ticket, they flagged me down and asked when their food would be coming out. Well, I said to them at minimum it should be about 15 minutes and that they are a large party and there are tables ahead of them. Well, they're now upset and they're now complaining. And you know what? I'm just smiling and apologizing. I let the manager know and he's like, okay, fine, we'll rush the order. About 5 minutes later, they tell me to just make everything to go. But the kitchen had already started plating and now we had to scramble to make it to go. As the food starts coming out, they ask me for their tickets and I start dividing it up. My manager puts the 18% auto gratuity on since it was a party of 8 people, which is standard written corporate policy. I start separating their tickets, but now they're flagging down another manager and are seriously asking for items to be taken off. My manager tells me to go greet my new table, and when I come back, one of the guests are telling my manager that I had an attitude and that I was throwing their to-go food at them. As they're leaving, they're telling me that I got lucky making so much money off them for food that's not even worth the price, nor being made from scratch. But I tell them that I'm sorry and to please just have a nice day. Another 2 of them tell my manager that I swore at them. But seriously, I'm like a crybaby pushover. I don't do this to even my enemies, let alone customers who determine my pay. My manager asked to speak with me in the kitchen, and I'm just overwhelmed and I just start sobbing. I've been unemployed for a while, and I'm in the red on my credit card, and I have no more savings. Fired from your job. Now, apparently, this restaurant is like an upscale restaurant, meaning that it's above fine dining. And the fact that they train you for 2 weeks just to get ready for it. Like, seriously, this is a really upscale place, so it's like, why would they do that to someone? You would think the clientele that comes in there would be at least reasonable, but no, obviously these people had a chip on their shoulder for something that didn't happen. And I've definitely been there where it's like, okay, I'm being blamed for something I didn't do. I'm being painted to be the bad guy, and it's like, dude, I did not do anything wrong. So I know exactly what the original poster is feeling, where they're like, I feel helpless and completely scared and terrified. Because for me, like, nothing is more frustrating than not being represented correctly. Like, if someone's making stuff up about me or like trying to be like, oh yeah, this is what they said, when I clearly didn't and they're just straight up lying, all in some kind of attempt to get me in trouble, dude, that is like the worst thing you can do to me. I hate being lied about, and I'm sure the original poster felt the same way. But thankfully, and I mean seriously, thankfully you had a manager who was like right there with you and had your back throughout all of